Okay, this video is going to be a little bit different because I don't want to get, struck with anything. So we're not going to have any graphics or any images showing up. With that being said, hello! I want to take a moment and talk about the death of the zombie G4. And I say zombie G4 because it was raised from the dead once before already. So I'm not going to shit on anyone from G4. They've done enough shitting on themselves, which is why one of the reasons why they got cancelled again. But I want to sort of take a slightly different approach to this. If you look up G4 on YouTube right now, there's millions of videos of people just sort of laughing about it, and they're, referencing the Frost incidents among many other things, and how Adam Sessler is essentially insane. But G4 wasn't always that way. And I don't think that alone, like if you removed the people that were making the new G4 so cringy and just had, like fun YouTubers that didn't have this terrible personality, I still think it would have suffered the same death. And here's why I think that. G4 was sort of a combination of Attack of the Show and X-Play, and then eventually a lot of Cops reruns. But Attack on the Show and X-Play is what we're going to focus on today. And those two shows were special. When they launched in the early thousands, there wasn't another show like it, and things were different back then. So if you liked anime, you were the weird kid. If you played a lot of video games, you were a nerd. That's how it was. It wasn't sort of socially acceptable to be into these two things. And your online humor, like 4chan, etc., was at the time like memes. People didn't know what those were unless you were part of like the in club who browsed these websites that you were not allowed to browse. And it felt cool, and it was sort of edgy, and you had this sort of secret world online. And G4 put that world in front of a screen. And this was early days of YouTube as well. And early YouTube hit different. It wasn't content creators trying to make a living. It was just people uploading and making funny videos for the most part with their friends. And so with that being said, it had this interesting nook where people like myself who didn't really fit in with anyone at school could turn on the TV and see people who seemingly looked like the popular kids, and they were confident, and they weren't, they didn't everyone thought Kevin Pereira, even today, he's got charisma, and it worked. And then they paired these people up with attractive females for the most part, and I'm talking generalization, they had 2 arms, 2 legs, and, they paired them up with essentially celebrities and models. And it worked. It was a formula that worked back then because it didn't exist anywhere else back then. And like I was saying, people like myself could go home and turn on the TV, and I could hear internet jokes, and I could hear people speaking the memes. There were these attractive females who were in on it and thought it was cool, even though they were just doing it for the paycheck. But when you're 13, you don't really care about that. And it was one of those weird shows that gave you hope that, life was going to be okay. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy because it's just a show about video games, and, internet memes essentially and jokes. But that's what it was. And there was nothing like that. And it was taking that concept and putting it on a TV screen and making it sort of popular. It was great. And especially in Australia where I grew up, because it wasn't on normal TV, you had to have Foxtel, which is like our cable TV back then. And not everyone had Foxtel. And at the time I happened to have it, with the magic gold card, if you know what I'm talking about, Australians. And so I could watch G4 TV. And it was this sort of secret thing because most of the people in school didn't know what it was. And, you'd get bullied for being an anime, and you couldn't really talk to anyone at school. They didn't know what these things were, You couldn't go to school and talk about Full Metal Panic. No one knew what that was. But I could watch G4 and then go on the internet, go on eBarms, and people were, in on it, so to speak. And it was cool. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you can't recreate that because the world has changed. These days, cool kids watch anime. They wear like anime drip, and you can buy shirts at popular clothing stores with anime on them. That's weird. That's weird to me. I don't know about you, but that's weird to me. It's weird to see that. And it's got to the point where, like everyone, like memes are memes. Everyone knows what memes are. And it's not an in thing anymore because it's cool. If that makes sense. Well, it's not cool, but it's trendy, I guess. And so the times changed. So you can't really put these people on the screen and do it again because people don't resonate with that anymore. Memes are overdone and they're on everything and everyone makes them, me included. Like it's like your parents even know what they are now. It's just a thing. Being sort of nerdy and in a video, well, that's normal. Everyone plays video games and is nerdy. So that's gone. Like operating a smartphone doesn't make you a smart kid anymore because everyone does it. Grandma's out there downloading Snapchat. It just is what it is. And so there's no, like, the specialness of G4 is gone. And I don't think they can recreate that. And even if they did, how are they going to do it better than the million YouTube channels that exist now, full of shows with a similar vibe and characters? And I know they tried to bring YouTube and Twitch streamer people onto their show, but once again, those people have their own channels to sort of watch. So it's a combination of, well, the new people they brought on aren't really likable, and Adam Sessler needs like a minder to like watch him. I think he's sort of, got dementia or something, and he just doesn't know what's going on anymore. So what do? Unlikable people, way more competition, addressing a niche that isn't a niche anymore. It's sort of, there was no audience for them in the first place. And as much as I nostalgia for the old G4 and the old Attack of the Show, I just don't see that working either way. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys really think if they had brought on everyone from the original G4, except maybe Sessler because he went crazy, and they just sort of repeated the original sort of, concept and all the original ideas, it wouldn't have gone anywhere, or at least, or do you think it would have gone somewhere? Like, how do you think G4 could have actually come back? Because I think what we got was sort of, they went and did the worst possible try to come back. But other than that, even if everything went perfectly, do you really think it would have taken off? I don't see that happening in any way, shape or form anymore. It's just not unique. It's not a special thing. It was only popular back then because it was reaching out to a group of people who had nothing else like that. And it made them feel welcomed. And, like they had a group. That's gone. Now they've got millions of YouTube channels to watch, who have been doing it for years and figured it out. And the times have changed. So it's, these days it's weird. Like in school, I was bullied for being nerdy and into anime. And these days I'm seen as violent and hateful for being a mixed martial artist, and people are intimidated by that. And like, I can't even talk about it. In some jobs I've been told like, oh, it intimidates people to talk about it. I'm like, well, you asked me what I did on my weekends. That's what I did. And I'd be asked to cover up my bruises and stuff because it makes my coworkers uncomfortable. Like, ugh, stupid, and yet you can talk about memes and internet stuff and, grooming minors all day long and no one cares. But, you talk about sport now and, testosterone, toxic. Like, it's just stupid. I don't get it. The world's changed and I don't think there's a place for G4 anymore. I think it was a special product of its time. And it's not coming back, and I don't want to make this any longer than it is. It's about to be 10 minutes anyway. So, yeah, what do you think? Sound off in the comments. Tell me your fondest G4 memory, because it was our guilty pleasure. We all had one. Yeah, I will leave you there. Oh, P.S. Who was your favorite G4 girl or guy? Not, in a soggy knees kind of way. Just like, what was your favorite one? Yeah.